Part 2. Check the playlist for more. Like and subscribe. Let's go.
A man calmly tells the old woman that he does not need to worry about anything. This new person proudly says that he can defeat the giant monster by himself. The grandmother looks at the newcomers and becomes surprised when she recognizes them. She quickly asks the man about the safety of the other villagers. The man, who has blue hair, calmly confirms that all the villagers have safely reached the shelter. At that moment, it becomes clear that the older man standing beside the blue-haired warrior is actually Hakama's father. When Hakama sees him, she immediately runs toward him. The two share an emotional reunion after finally meeting again. Her father quickly asks her where she had gone and why she disappeared earlier. Hakama honestly tells him the truth. She explains that she went to the sealed door. When the grandmother hears this, she becomes extremely shocked. She is also very angry that Hakama went near such a dangerous place. According to the legends of their village, the land behind that sealed door belongs to the guardian god of the village. No ordinary person is supposed to enter that area. Then, Hakama explains her reason. She says that when the monsters attacked the village, she became very frightened. Because of that fear, she decided to go to the sealed place to ask the guardian god for help. Then, she proudly points at Jin standing beside her. She confidently tells everyone that the guardian god from their legends is right there next to her. However, the grandmother does not believe this at all. She refuses to accept the idea that this random young man could be their divine protector. In fact, she thinks the idea sounds completely ridiculous. Looking at Jin's appearance, the villagers assume that he belongs to a lower type of species. Because of this belief, they think it is impossible for him to be their sacred guardian. At that moment, little Shandi steps forward. She tries to convince her blue-haired brother that Jin is truly the guardian god. Unfortunately, her brother is very prejudiced. He quickly rejects her claim. He points directly at Jin's ears as proof. In their society, most people have special animal traits like ears or tails. Anyone who looks completely human and does not have animal features is considered a lower and inferior species.
As far as the blue-haired guy can understand, his little sister is simply making a huge mistake. In his mind, she is just being naive and misunderstanding the situation. However, the little girl refuses to change her opinion. She bravely stands her ground and proudly explains that this man beside her easily defeated the monster that was chasing them earlier. Her brother does not look impressed at all. He arrogantly waves her words away and says that defeating a monster like that would be easy for him as well. Then he turns toward Jin, who already looks tired and annoyed by all the unnecessary insults and arguments. The blue-haired warrior angrily warns Jin to leave the village right away. He tells him that their village has no place for someone with inferior blood. After saying this, the arrogant man simply walks past Jin while continuing to talk proudly about himself. He is so full of confidence that he decides to go and fight the giant monster all by himself. This extremely arrogant blue-haired warrior is named Sars. When the grandmother hears his plan, she becomes very worried. She can clearly see that his decision is reckless and dangerous. After that, she turns back toward Jin. Even though she still does not care about who he really is, she admits that it would be rude not to thank him properly for saving her life. She sincerely thanks him for helping her earlier. Then she asks him for one last favor. She requests that Jin escort the children safely to the shelter while she goes to stop Sars before he throws his life away because of his foolish pride. However, Jin immediately refuses her request. After everything they said to him, his pride has been challenged. There is no way he is going to stand quietly and let them treat him like a useless outsider. Jin decides that he will show them clearly that he is not some weak bystander. He also wants them to understand that he is definitely not an inferior species. The scene then shifts to a nearby lake. The giant and terrifying monster is currently hiding there. Sars has already arrived at the location. Without showing even the slightest fear, he prepares himself for battle. Holding his spear firmly, he charges his body with powerful lightning energy that crackles like thunder. Then he suddenly dashes forward at incredible speed toward the monster. The monster tries to defend itself in a very strange way. It actually throws its own baby larvae towards Sars like weapons. Fortunately, those small and slimy larvae are easy targets. Sars quickly destroys them using his lightning-charged spear. Once the path is clear, Sars takes advantage of the moment. He jumps high into the air and swings his
spear with great force, delivering a powerful slash directly across the monster's face. The monster screams loudly in pain. However, defeating such a creature is not that easy. To Sars's shock, the deep wound on the monster's face immediately begins to heal. The flesh slowly repairs itself as if nothing happened. The sudden surprise freezes Sars for a moment. Because of that hesitation, he leaves himself completely open to the monster's next attack. The giant creature quickly strikes back with a deadly blow that Sars has no time to avoid. But just as expected, Jin appears at the perfect moment. He calmly steps in and blocks the monster's massive attack with ease, as if stopping such power is nothing special. Sars, who had been extremely arrogant just moments ago, suddenly realizes how wrong he was. The situation is completely different from what he imagined. But this is only the beginning. The monster jumps backward and prepares another attack, this time using even more force than before. However, Jin does not even give the creature a chance to strike again. With a simple snap of his fingers, he releases a burst of energy that shoots straight through the monster's body, leaving a clean hole through its flesh. Sars can only stare at the scene in complete shock. He is unable to say a single word after seeing such unbelievable power. Soon after that, the rest of the group runs toward the lake. They are already out of breath from running so fast, but when they arrive and see what is happening, they become shocked all over again. Right in front of them, Jin is calmly blocking the massive monster with only one hand, while the creature continues pushing with all its strength. Watching this boring struggle, Jin begins to lose interest. Deciding to finish the fight quickly, he grabs Sars by the waist and jumps away from the monster. When the scene becomes clear again, everyone can see that the giant monster has been completely pierced through by Jin's powerful energy. Even so, Sars nervously argues that such big attacks will not work. He believes it is useless because the monster can simply regenerate again and again. But Jin already thought about that problem. He explains that this is exactly where the nanomachines become useful. The nanomachines in the environment actively stop the monster's cells from regenerating, preventing it from healing itself.
The damage that Sars caused earlier was actually quite serious. His attack had hurt the monster a lot. However, the wound he created was simply too shallow. Because of that, the monster's healing ability was still strong enough to repair the damage. At this point, Sars is almost losing his mind while trying to understand everything happening in front of him. The idea that this inferior person might actually be their guardian god is becoming harder and harder for him to ignore. But Jin quickly clears up that misunderstanding. In a calm tone, he says that he is not some divine being and that he has no connection to any god. What he does know for sure is something very different. The only reason he still exists is to protect the people who would live in the future and to destroy the monsters that threaten them. Hearing this, the giant monster becomes even more furious. It lets out a loud roar and begins swinging its huge tail wildly. The creature is desperately trying to crush Jin, who keeps moving quickly and slipping past its attacks with ease. Jin quickly forms a plan to finish the battle. Using his power, he suddenly traps the monster in thick yellow ice crystals. The ice locks the creature in place and completely stops it from moving. While the monster struggles to escape, Jin begins preparing a powerful final attack that will completely destroy it. Before launching the attack, he finally introduces himself properly. He explains that he is a being created because of humanity's own tragic mistakes. He is someone who survived a sleep that lasted 100 million years. He was designed to become a weapon meant to cleanse the earth of the horrible monsters that once destroyed the world. Sars does not really understand everything Jin is saying. Most of it sounds confusing to him, but right now he only cares about one thing: whether Jin can actually defeat the monster in front of them. Of course, Jin can do exactly that. After all, he is the result of countless painful and cruel experiments performed by humanity long ago. He was created as a weapon beyond imagination, born from the dark and bloody history of mankind. In fact, Jin is the first, the last, and the only true human left in the entire world.
After finishing his introduction, Jin releases an incredibly powerful energy attack. The beam of energy is so bright and intense that it instantly burns the monster into nothing. The attack is unbelievably strong. The beam shoots straight upward through the atmosphere of Earth and continues all the way into outer space. With such overwhelming power, there is absolutely no chance for the monster to regenerate again. With the monster finally destroyed, SARS becomes completely silent. His earlier arrogance disappears completely after seeing Jin's overwhelming power. However, the group does not realize that someone else has been watching everything from nearby bushes. A mysterious woman has been secretly observing the battle. At first, she was only sent to investigate the strange monster that appeared near the lake, but she never expected to witness something even more shocking. From her point of view, even the strongest warriors of the Holy Knights in the royal capital would never dare to fight such a giant monster alone. Yet this unknown young man defeated it as if it was an easy task. The woman becomes extremely excited after seeing this incredible power. She can barely contain her excitement as she prepares to report everything she witnessed back to her guild. Later that day, Jin finally decides to watch the holographic message that his old friend Kagura left for him millions of years ago. The recorded message begins with Kagura saying that by the time Jin sees this message, millions of years will probably have already passed. Because so much time has passed, Kagura wonders what the Earth looks like now. He's curious whether the planet has finally healed and recovered from the destruction caused by the corruptors. But Kagura immediately shares some unfortunate news. He explains that the corruptors will never truly disappear completely, even if the Earth itself recovers and becomes healthy again. In fact, this truth has already been proven because Jin just fought one of those monsters not long ago. Kagura then reveals something surprising. While Jin was sleeping inside the capsule, Kagura did not stay asleep the entire time. Instead, he would occasionally place himself into short periods of cold sleep. During those times when he was awake, he carefully observed the slow changes happening across the planet. Thanks to the restoration of the environment, the total number of corruptors did slowly decrease over time. However, something unexpected also happened. As the world's ecosystem began to change, the corruptors started evolving along with it, which meant they were adapting to the new world instead of becoming their victims. Because of this, Kagura realized that Earth would never be able to completely remove the threat of the corruptors. To deal with this problem, Kagura decided to take action. He secretly edited the genetics of the new life forms that were beginning to appear on Earth. By doing this, he gave them the potential to resist and fight against the corruptors instead of simply becoming their victims.
On top of that, Kagura reveals that he has left behind a huge power-up specially for Jin. That strange syringe filled with glowing green liquid is exactly what Jin needs, and he must inject it directly into his veins. As soon as Jin does this, his body immediately starts reacting. His whole body begins to crackle and shine with a mysterious, magical energy. The serum he injected gives him 100% compatibility with the nanomachines inside him. Once the process is fully complete, Jin gains an incredible new ability. He can now create physical objects by transforming nanomachines into different shapes. This power is extremely strong, and the most exciting part is that this upgrade is only the beginning. Kagura then reveals something even more surprising. He has hidden many more power-ups like this all around the world. He did not keep them in one place because he was worried that the corruptors might destroy a facility and wipe out everything at once. By spreading them across the world, he made sure that at least some of them would survive. At the same time, this also forces Jin to travel across the world and see the new world with his own eyes. Kagura admits that he does not know what kind of danger the corruptors might become in this far future. However, he strongly believes that the future is much brighter than the dark and destroyed world they left behind a long time ago. As the message continues, the hologram shows how much Kagura has aged over time. It becomes a sad and emotional moment as he expresses how deeply upset he is that he will never be able to see this beautiful, restored world himself. After saying everything he wanted, Kagura finally passes all the responsibility of the future to Jin. With that, the message
message comes to an end. At that moment, Hakama and the rest of the group arrive while searching for their so-called guardian god. Hakama and the koala-like guy named Danpo have come to take Jin back to the village because everyone there is waiting for him. As they start heading back, Jin notices something important. With his sharp eyes, he sees a familiar key hanging around Hakama's neck. Feeling curious, he asks her about the pendant and wonders how she got it. Hakama explains that a long time ago, an amazing person told her ancestors to pass this key down through generations as a protective charm. According to the legend, if great danger ever came to the village, this key would call the guardian god to come and protect them. Hearing this story, Jin feels very emotional. He realizes how much effort his friend Kagura put into preparing everything for him. Because of this, Jin feels deeply grateful and thankful toward Kagura. When they return to the village, they see that a big celebration is already happening in the center. Everyone is eating a lot of food and drinking happily. The children excitedly bring their guardian god, Jin, back into the center of attention. However, the mood changes a little when the adult villagers start whispering among themselves. They feel confused and doubtful after seeing Jin. In their narrow thinking, it doesn't make sense that someone who looks like a normal and weaker species could be their legendary guardian god. While they are loudly doubting Jin, Sars suddenly stands up and gets very angry. He starts shouting at them for blaming and questioning the person who saved their lives. He even goes as far as punching some of them. He reminds them that they were the same people who ran away in fear when danger appeared. As this chaotic situation continues, Hakama and Danpo watch everything and can clearly see the hypocrisy in Sars's behavior. Just a few hours ago, he himself was the first one to doubt Jin and make fun of him. Then the village grandmother steps forward and speaks directly to Jin. She feels extremely grateful and tries to thank him on behalf of everyone in the village. She admits that if Jin had not arrived at the right time, the entire village would have been destroyed and none of them would be alive. As usual, Jin stays calm and casually brushes off all the praise. He says that he was only doing his job. However, the villagers will not let him go without giving him something in return as a sign of their gratitude. Instead of asking for money or anything material, Jin asks for something much more important. He wants information. He asks them to tell him everything in detail about the current condition of the world.
Sadly, the villagers are not capable of answering such a big and complicated question about the world. They are simple people who live in isolation, so they do not have enough knowledge about global matters. To help Jin, they strongly suggest that he should go to the royal capital, where the king of Kosia lives. They explain that people from all kinds of places gather in the capital, making it a very important center for information and world affairs. It is the best place to learn what is happening across the world. They also mention that merchants from their own Kodama village often travel there to sell special goods made from wood silkworm thread. Even though the journey to the capital is known to be long and dangerous, the grandmother believes that Jin will have no problem reaching there safely. She knows that he is far stronger than an ordinary person. She then gives Hakama an important responsibility. She tells her to act as Jin's official guide and travel with him. She also suggests that Jin should take Hakama along since she was already planning to go to the royal capital. Hakama has her own reason for going there. She is one of the few people who can use divine powers, and she wants to join a famous academy that trains magic users. Hearing this surprises Jin a lot. He did not expect that proper schools and academies would still exist in this time. Suddenly, it becomes clear that Jin has gained a very loud and loyal supporter. Sars quickly steps forward and excitedly offers to become the guardian god's personal bodyguard during the journey. However, the grandmother immediately refuses his request. She reminds him that he has no real reason to go to the capital. Sars, however, proudly argues that he does have a reason. He says that he wants to join the respected Holy Knight Order, but the grandmother knows that he is being unrealistic. She bluntly tells him that he could not even get accepted into the basic academy, so joining such a high-level Knight Order is almost impossible for him. This surprises Jin. Since Sars can use divine powers, Jin thought he would easily pass
pass the admission process. Hakama then explains the real reason. There is a compulsory written exam that is meant to filter out people who are not smart enough, and unfortunately, SARS failed because of his lack of intelligence. Even though they joke about it, Jin becomes more and more curious about this powerful group called the Holy Knights. At this point, the scene shifts away from the village and shows a heavily armored knight. He looks completely shocked after hearing that the giant monster that was attacking the Kodama village has already been destroyed. The one giving him this information is the same spy girl who was secretly watching the battle at the lake. The knight asks her to confirm the story again, and she confidently repeats everything without any doubt. Even after hearing it twice, the knight finds it hard to believe. Until now, he never thought that anyone outside the Holy Knight Order could defeat such a powerful monster alone. While they are still talking, a corruptor suddenly tries to attack the spy from behind. It jumps toward her without warning. The knight reacts instantly. With incredible speed, he draws his sword and cuts the monster into 2 pieces in a single strike. Instead of returning to the kingdom, the knight makes a bold decision. He becomes very curious and decides to personally find the mysterious person who defeated such a huge monster so easily. The story then returns to Jin. He wakes up to a beautiful morning and enjoys the fresh air. He still finds it hard to believe that such a peaceful and beautiful world exists. At the same time, he feels a little sad, thinking that his friend Kagura is not there to see it with him. One of the village children brings Jin his clothes and asks the guardian god to wear them. In the next scene, Jin is standing at the edge of the village, ready to leave. Hakama's grandmother reminds Hakama to properly fulfill her duty as Jin's guide. At the same time, SARS looks upset because he was not chosen to guide Jin on the journey. Jin shows interest in SARS and even praises his movement skills. He tells him that he will be waiting for him at the royal capital. Hearing this makes SARS extremely happy and excited, almost like a fan. He loudly cheers for the guardian god and hopes that Jin will take good care of Hakama. Hakama is also told to stay safe. After saying their goodbyes, Jin and Hakama finally begin their journey as they leave the village together.
That's it for this part of the story. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome recaps coming your way.
And that's it for today's recap. If you enjoyed the story and want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more manhwa recaps just like this.